Well, Perth, Australia has turned on a perfect day for this final public appearance of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II's 16th tour down under. The people here in Perth have turned out in numbers for a charity barbecue, and we're all set for the arrival of the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh here on the waterfront. Hello, I'm Stephanie Brantz. It is great to have you joining us here. Down here at the Esplanade, there's about 30,000 people behind me and tens of thousands more people in the adjoining Supreme Court Gardens and Langley Park. I'm also delighted to have joining me BBC Royal Correspondent Mr Nicholas Witchell. Nick, great to have you with us. You've had a busy 10 days and, well, what a unique way to finish.
It's fantastic to be here, yeah, and all set we certainly are. Put it this way, I was just talking to one of the Queen's most senior officials and she said what an amazing send-off at the end of an amazing visit. They are chuffed to bits. I'm sure the Queen herself is chuffed to bits. It has gone extremely well, with greater warmth, I think, than they might have expected. And they are ending on a high in this fabulous weather with this massive crowd.
Well, it looks absolutely wonderful down here at the Big Aussie Barbecue. The Queen and the Duke will be leaving Government House shortly in a motorcade. She's done dozens of these before, dozens of visits to various cities all over the world, but she looked like she's really enjoyed it this time.
I think the difference is that there is a serenity about her now. I actually think that she's enjoying being Queen now more than at any stage in this long reign of hers. There's a sort of confidence. She knows now that people really not just respect her but have an enormous degree of affection for her, and that has come across day after day after day here in Australia, in Canberra, most pointedly in Brisbane and Melbourne, and now here in Perth. She responds to the warmth of a crowd anywhere she goes. She's not an actress. If the crowd is warm, she responds, and you can see from her face how she's feeling, and she's been just smiling, taking her time and enjoying it, and I really do believe that she has enjoyed this visit.
Well, what you just said about her feeling that she's really appreciated suggests, Nick, that perhaps there was a time when she wasn't sure?
Well, in the course of 60 years, there have been ups and downs. Yeah, you know, in the early years of her reign, she was learning the job. We tend to forget how young she was when she succeeded to the throne back in 1952, a woman of just 25, as we'll see in some of the pictures from that memorable 1954 visit. But I think over the decades, her reign has gone in phases. She was learning the job, she was bringing up a family. There was a difficult period, as we all know, family difficulties, all sorts of other difficulties in the 90s. But I think now, and particularly since the death of her dear mother in 2002, at the start of her Golden Jubilee year, the mantle of matriarch, if you like, has passed now to her. She's got the silver hair, she is 85, she has that wisdom of a senior citizen, let's be frank, and people respond to that, and I think that there is an awesome sense now that she represents history. I mean, she has been there throughout all of our lives, even in the case of me, you know, I'm quite a bit older than you are, but she's always been there, and I think that it is that sense of history that people respond to, and for which they are coming out in large numbers, particularly, as I say, here in Australia.
But it's been, particularly in even just the last 12 months, what an exciting year for her. I mean, over here, 70% of our country watched the wedding of Prince William to then commoner Kate Middleton.
It has, even measuring it against the 60-year span nearly of her reign, and there have been some memorable times, my goodness, during that reign. But 2011, I think, will be remembered. We've had the historic visit to the Republic of Ireland, which was just extraordinary in its political and historical significance. We've had the royal wedding, and now Australia, and of course she's looking forward now to the Diamond Jubilee. So these are memorable times, and amongst that memory bank, this visit, I'm sure, will figure up there.
And perhaps even just a little bit more subtle, it certainly didn't go under the radar at Chogum yesterday. The decision was made that a female child of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge can
Indeed, yeah. I mean,
that,
an important step forward. I think it was inevitable. It's something that politicians have been putting off. I mean, there's been a recognition that it was necessary to do this, to iron out these anomalies, but the complexities of it are pretty considerable in all the 16 countries. This dreadful word realm, but, you know, that's how they're kind of termed. But in terms terms of legislation, it is complicated, but there is now the will to do it, and of course there is a need to do it because William and Kate are married, and one must expect that in due course, and perhaps, who knows, fairly soon, who knows, there will be a child, and it would be an absurdity, I think, in the consensus if a firstborn daughter were then superseded. So they're going to change that.
Indeed, and with CHOGM's theme this year being women as agendas for change, it fits in beautifully. But you did suggest there that it has been a remarkable year for the Queen. She is a woman of great fortitude, and not does she just turn up, she makes a real presence. Particularly that trip to Ireland was phenomenal.
Yeah, you know, she's been waiting all her reign to go to the Republic of Ireland. There were only 3 countries in the world of any significance that she hadn't been to: Greece, the Republic of Ireland, and Israel. Now, the Republic of Ireland, for all the historical reasons, we know why it was such a difficult visit, but also, of course, for those same historical reasons, a visit of huge symbolic importance. And I was there, and to see her standing in that Garden of Remembrance, bowing her head, and the remarks that she made, it was just one of those really awesome moments.
Well, we can see the motorcade on its way down to us here at the Esplanade. Nick, I think this trip is going to take somewhere around the 15-minute mark, and it's just wonderful to see the crowds cheering. A bit of a bittersweet, perhaps poignant moment for some of them, because they truly believe this is the last time we will see her on these shores. You don't agree?
I don't. No, there's the old Range Rover making its way slowly, and it'll be interesting to see how many people are just lining the route with the Duke of Edinburgh and the Queen waving. And as you say, the crowd here responding. They can see on the big screens the pictures, and the excitement starting to generate as the feeling that they are on their way spreads. And yes, my goodness, there are good crowds there. We can see, can't we, on the pavements, lining the streets of Perth. Will this be the final visit? I don't believe Buckingham Palace has taken any decision that this is a final visit. It depends entirely on her health. Now, she is 85 at the moment, 86 next year. Her health remains robust, as we've seen across Australia this week. But I'm quite convinced that no decision has been taken that this is a final visit. And if her health remains good, and there is no reason to think otherwise at the moment, she is not a person instinctively who will shirk her duty. That's been the hallmark of the entire reign, to do her duty. And so I think in a couple of years' time, if there is a reason to come, if her health is good, she will be back, I believe. And
we would be delighted to see her. Of course, Nick, she's no stranger to Western Australia. This is her 7th visit, and it's probably fair to say that Perth is a bit of a different city to the big country town she first saw, and that was way back in 1954.